Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity, the 2020 election. New economic numbers are coming out today, and the president's policies are facilitating growth this nation has not seen in decades. Fox News correspondent Trace Gallagher joins us live from our West Coast newsroom, which I know well, with the latest. Trace.
And Tammy, not only is the economy strong, it appears to be getting stronger. This is the first time since 2015 that economic growth in the first quarter was above 3%. Experts say that's an indicator that consumers are shopping, businesses are shopping, everybody's shopping. And you don't need an economic guru to tell you that people shop because they either have more money or they're confident they'll continue getting money. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow offered his analysis. Watch.
Numbers are numbers and GDP is GDP. But I think the morale of the country is picking up. But I do love these numbers. I just think they're beating what everybody else thinks is happening.
Well, it's certainly beating what liberal economist and New York Times op-ed columnist Paul Krugman thought was happening. 73 days ago, Krugman said we were heading toward recession. But consider this. Even with the government shutdown in January, the first quarter growth was so impressive that analysts didn't even need to figure in the usual excuses like bad weather. The bottom line here is the economy is doing so well that it's even doing well on MSNBC. Tammy.
Yeah, there you go. That's when you know that you've got some good economy there. Trace, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Biden's campaign is only one day old, but it is already stamped with his signature trademark, gaffes and missteps. CNN reminded viewers of the brutal demise of his first campaign when they brought up the fact that he had to drop out because of plagiarism accusations. Let's take a look.
He actually never makes it to 1988 in his first bid, Brooke, because he drops out in 87 following a plagiarism scandal. Now, just a little bit of context. He's not the front runner in 1987, but in 1987, Joe Biden's only been in the Senate for 15 years. He's seen as kind of an up-and-comer. He's considered someone who could be the nominee. But he gives a speech that's very similar to a speech that a British Labour politician had given named Neil Kinnock, and it leads to his demise.
Well, fast forward to this year. Prior to entering the presidential race yesterday, Uncle Joe did not bother to call the mother of Heather Heyer, the woman referenced in his campaign launch video, who was killed in Charlottesville. When Biden finally did reach out, it seems to have been too little, too late. Let's take a look.
I got a call from him yesterday at 4:30 in the afternoon. That was the first time I had ever spoken to Joe Biden or anybody related to his office or anything. I think he said something about I would have reached out sooner, but I wasn't sure how you would feel. And I commented, yes, I noticed you didn't mention her name because you hadn't contacted me. So we sort of acknowledged that much.
Wow. Meanwhile, President Trump seems to be optimistic about the upcoming race, as perhaps he should be. Amid his opponent's gaffes, he is feeling very confident. Watch what he had to say this morning.
I just feel like a young man. I'm so young. I can't believe it. I'm the youngest person. I am a young, vibrant man. I look at Joe. I don't know about him. I don't know. I would never say anyone's too old, but I know they're all making me look very young, both in terms of age and I think in terms of energy.
All right, you guys, joining me now with reaction, former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors to President Obama, Austin Goolsbee, and former White House press secretary and Fox News contributor, Ari Fleischer. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming on tonight. Fascinating things. We pretty much know what we can expect from President Trump. He does seem to be having a very good time. But Austin, let me ask you, we are in this extraordinary economic framework here. I think that's undeniable. What do you think when it comes to certainly Joe Biden, who will not be able to ignore his role with the Obama 2 terms and the nature of what happened with the economy there? What do you think should be his approach in dealing with, he didn't mention the economy on his video. What do you think he should be saying to the American people about what he's going to offer differently than what President Trump has done?
Well, I think you saw in Joe Biden's announcement that it felt like a lot of his focus is going to be, let's call it, about cultural issues and about American values and the American way. So I don't know that it's going to be rolling out a series of policy fact sheets or something, if that's what you're saying. Now, I would comment, it struck me from the president's reaction today that the president looked like he doesn't want to run against Joe Biden, and he's trying to throw up a series of critiques. I mean, really? A 72-year-old man accusing his opponent of being too old. And if you look at Joe Biden's approval rating, that he got 100,000 donors in one day, that he leads the primary in the polling, and his net favorability is 15 points better than the president's, I can understand why the president would be a little nervous about Joe Biden.
He's been running. I would hope he would have a lot of donors, and that he's been running for president since 1987. And he does have, and we'd all have to admit at this point in time, that name recognition, of course, gets you a higher bump in the popularity and the approval polls. And he also has really been behind the scenes to a degree, certainly even during the Obama administration, that he's never really taken a huge debate framework to have to deal with that, especially with what the Democrat Party is having to offer. Ari, in the meantime, you know, he did raise a lot of money. The president, Austin is correct, seems to people in the GOP are going after Joe Biden. But wouldn't that be an interesting way to send a message to the Democrats that, yeah, send Joe Biden because he actually is the guy that's the easiest to beat? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think President Trump is worried about any of the Democrats. That's the president's style. Let me correct one thing Austin said. President Trump did not say Joe Biden was too old. He said he was too sleepy. So get your facts right. Look, I think Joe Biden's real issue is going to be he's a fish out of water in the modern-day Democratic Party. And he has such a liberal contingent that has captured the energy, the hearts, the minds, and the souls of so many Democrats. The question is, can an old-style, old-school, more moderate politician like Joe Biden prevail over all those Democrats? My suspicion is Joe Biden is just going to run out of air like a balloon. You're just going to watch him fly through the air with the air gradually coming out. I think he's peaked. He's at his highest numbers on the day he entered, and it's downhill from here.
Yeah, I would say, Austin, would you say at the same time that you've got a fellow who is entering, when we speak about the old style politics, as though he's entitled to this? This is almost like, you know, the next in line, the kind of framework that voters rejected in 2016, that Hillary was the next in line. Is that going to be a mistake?
I hear you. I think that would be a mistake if he took that tone, because the presidency is not owed to anyone. Anyone that runs for president should explain what they want to do and why they think they could do the job better than the person who's there now or whoever their opponent is. I did not take that from the tone. If you watch Joe Biden's announcement, it wasn't at all of the, hey, it's my turn, so I am owed this. And I don't think, thus far at least, Joe Biden is not having a problem in the Democratic Party. He's leading in the polls within the Democratic Party, and his net favorability is vastly in excess of President Trump's. Okay. So Ari might be right that he might go down from here, but he's not starting from a position of weakness by any means.
Ari, you'd have to admit, I think, even as we saw certainly in 16 on both sides of the aisle, well, at least certainly with Republicans, that the primary season and the debates really show us what people are made of. Do you think Joe Biden is going to, having a poll right now is one thing. You've got an entire season of debates and a primary season. That's what's, I think, going to take its toll on Mr. Biden. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think there's a dynamic to primaries, a dynamic to campaigns, and that's what defines the candidates, what determines who's the winner and the loser. Remember, Hillary was defeating Barack Obama by a solid margin, double-digit margin, this time in 2008. So I think Biden's issue is going to be that he's going to have to continue to denounce who he is. You've already seen him walk away from the positions he felt, heartfelt positions and strongly in favor of in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Even in 2003, we haven't heard it yet, but it's coming. He voted for the Iraq War. Right. Now, how's that going to go over in a Democratic primary? And that's something Barack Obama used very successfully against Hillary.
And part of a team that sent $150 billion to Iran. I mean, there's things he's not going to be able to ignore. That dynamic there, especially with the shift of the view of the Democratic Party. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it.